Come on, May 19th? Don't say that.
Welcome to Roll Credits, a podcast about connections, both in film and in life. I'm Aaron.
I'm Mandy.
Each episode, we aim to explore a cast member, actor, director, or even a concept that ties a set of movies together. We're going to talk about the history and the context of a movie, and we're going to have fun while discussing our own personal opinions. Before we start, this is an Armbar Studios production. For more information on all of our projects, you can visit armbarstudios.com. So this is going to be kind of fun. This is a pilot episode of something that we've been talking about doing for quite a while. And we thought we would start our pilot episode with a bang, where we're going to be covering See No Evil, starring Kane. Now, I will let you know we're not going to go through all of the movies starring Kane, of which there have been two.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But the thing is, you know, we're talking about connections, and I think making that distinction that this movie very specifically starred Kane, I think makes for a really interesting conversation piece. I mean, we're both huge wrestling fans, and I know this is a topic that's been near and dear to your heart, so...
Yes, I'd be more than happy to go into like the history of Kane here, but I do just want to say real quickly, See No Evil 2, I recommend it.
Yeah, we'll probably be covering that one eventually. Maybe we'll do a WWE Films arc, maybe we'll do a Soska Sisters arc.
Shout out to you, Soska Sisters.
Shout out to Soska Sisters, interesting filmmakers. So let's talk a little bit about See No Evil. Tell me about your history with See No Evil. Like, did you see it in theaters? Did you see it on TV? Like,
I saw it when it hit the USA Network. I think after Raw.
Was it after Raw? Okay.
It was one of the TV shows.
It was. Wait, did we just? Okay, I didn't actually know this until we were recording. Did we watch the same airing on TV? Like they aired it after. I thought it was an NXT show.
You know, that sounds right.
Yeah, so sound
like sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've both watched See No Evil for the first time the same way, just on different corners of the internet.
And then I saw it like unedited later. I got to be honest, I can't even remember if it changed much.
Yeah, I mean,
they probably didn't have the post-credit scene.
Yeah, they probably didn't have the post-credits. They probably didn't have some of the gorier scenes, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I had my first memory of it is it came on after I thought it was an NXT show on the Sci-Fi Network, as far as I can remember. And we spent me and some people I was talking to online about the wrestling show, spent the entire time just inventing new siblings for Kane to have in the then ridiculous to even consider sequels. Like, oh yes, See No Evil 2 will have his brother Jimmy Good Morning, it'll be played by Heidenreich. That kind of dumb joke, you know.
So I think the thing that we really need to just bring up with this is that See No Evil is a WWE Films film.
Yeah.
So WWE Films is probably one of the worst movie studios of all time. Like, I'm going to say, like, See No Evil is maybe like one of their top 5 best movies that they've ever made, and I would rate it 2 stars.
Yeah, that's all right. Are you telling me that you don't want to go watch the hit family comedy Knucklehead?
Can't say I do. However, you know what? I may see Oculus, which is probably their number 1, and I don't know how the hell they managed to do that one.
Yeah. Oculus was good. So tell us, you know, you're more of the film history buff. I subsist on vibes alone. Tell me a little bit about See No Evil. I want everyone to know that we did watch our latest watch of the movie on May 19th, which is something that will become very important later. But tell us a little bit about See No Evil. It's WWE Films, and is a horror movie starring the wrestler Kane. Go on and tell me what that means.
So, See No Evil was one of the first big films from the aforementioned WWE Studios. One of the easy way to kind of break into the movie business, I would say, is a horror movie. It doesn't need to be like super high budget, as long as you can get like a really good killer, get some really good kills, and get an interesting enough setting, then that's all you really need to do. Also, it's worth mentioning, WWE Films was kind of WWE's way of branching out their wrestlers into the mainstream. You'll see that one of the first films that WWE really branched out to was the Scorpion King series. So The Rock got super popular because Hollywood wanted him to play the villain for The Mummy 2. Ever since then, it's felt like the person who led WWE at the time, who shall remain nameless for this podcast,
Well, we're going to bring him up eventually, but continue.
Honestly, he'll probably be mentioned in the history, but he thought, we need to branch out the rest of our wrestlers into the mainstream, and one of the people they picked was Kane. His character was kind of fit for this. In fact, literally, I would say the character of Kane is very heavily like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. Like, he was created looking at those kind of characters with it. Freddy Krueger, too. I'll even get into that.
Yeah. So Kane, of course, is a character portrayed by the real-life mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs, who is also someone we're not going to talk about or are interested in discussing in this podcast.
I think that we can probably jump directly into the history at this point. And well, I do want to stress that the history that we're going to be picking is about the character and not the guy.
Yeah.
Glenn Jacobs is a man who has lived a very storied life. Has even Kane wasn't even his first character in WWE. He played an evil dentist, a guy, something called the Christmas Creature, and at one point they fired one of the wrestlers, and then one of the wrestlers left, and then they basically had Glenn Jacobs fill in to look like the wrestler. He doesn't look like this wrestler.
He doesn't look like it. It was Diesel, right?
Yes.
Yes, he was fake Diesel. He doesn't look like Kevin Nash.
No.
He doesn't look like him. He does look like a creepy monster, which he is.
And that's why he was basically perfect for this role here.
Yeah.
So, yes, Kane is, I believe, a slasher villain. They must have really looked hard at Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Michael Myers, you see the head tilt. Jason Voorhees, he kind of has big and angry thing where he's kind of like he'll destroy everything in his path.
Silent monster, just beats the crap out of him. Yeah.
And then the big thing with Freddy Krueger was Freddy would always have fire associated with him because he was burned alive.
Yeah, of course.
And a huge part of Kane's backstory was that he got burned.
Yeah.
Now keep this in mind. Over the course of 9 movies, guys like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees had kind of a messy character and backstory. Now, replace 9 movies with 9 years weekly. 9 years weekly for a medium that is not associated with it, and you can understand why this is going to be a very, very interesting sort of history for this character.
Long-term storytelling, next thing you know, we're going to be making a big video talking about how it's actually really smart and genius that they did this.
There was an extra 13 years after this, by the way, which we're unfortunately not going to cover. There's some interesting moments here. For example, I'd have to recommend, if you're going to look at one run from Kane, there was a time that he was tag teaming with a wrestler by the name of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
My guy.
And this had probably my favorite segment with Kane of all time, where he sits down to a anger management seminar and has they show time passage as he goes through his entire life story, and they really go into detail about how ridiculous his whole deal is. So,
and this is let me just say this, because I know that we have one of our friends who will probably be listening, if they are, hi Laser, how you doing? We're not going to be talking about Journey into Darkness, written by Michael Chiappetta, possibly of Z True Long Island Story fame. But we're going to be talking about, what is it, like on-screen stuff here?
Yeah,
and it's all in service of, like, to talk about them advertising specifically the character Kane to be played in See No Evil. Because trust me, this will be relevant.
So I did a lot of research specifically from watching episodes and clips. I looked up the exact orders of these on like Peacock, but I did use Wikipedia to just refresh myself of the exact timeline. But, all these words, all these opinions will be of my own. I have seen a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. We watch a lot of wrestling. We have like a channel that plays it 24/7.
So, the best way to describe Kane, from the top, I need to start by talking about one of wrestling's most famous guys, who is The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. So The Undertaker is presented as a giant zombie mortician with a supernatural control of lightning.
Undead cowboy wizard.
Yes. And there's always been kind of skepticism from the other wrestlers, which is how they're able to justify it. They see him presenting himself as like the Grim Reaper for fear tactics, but, it seems very likely that he actually does have these magical powers.
Yeah, in the focus of the story, without getting too in the weeds for those in the know, basically, obviously wrestling is a show, but it's also live entertainment, live theater. So in the context of all of this, The Undertaker is either a really spooky goth guy or... but maybe his lightning powers are actually real, and that's kind of the fun of it all.
And I bring this up because Kane has been directly tied to Undertaker since the very beginning of his career.
Yeah.
So how they first introduced Kane, The Undertaker's old manager was a man by the name of Paul Bearer, hilarious name.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Not even as a joke. Like,
he talked about
awesome.
He talked about him as like a ghost from The Undertaker's past.
Ooh.
And said that The Undertaker had killed his parents as well as his little brother Kane in a house fire that was set.
My Undertaker!
And much like how Undertaker, came back to life, Kane is back to life, he's horribly disfigured, and he's going to kill The Undertaker.
He's coming for you, Undertaker!
I always love the name Kane. It fits because, Cain and Abel, but also... The Undertaker was originally known as Kane the Undertaker, and then they kind of like changed that, but that was like how they originally introduced him. So this was kind of a fun way of introducing a new guy into context like that.
Kind of a fun little callback.
Tribute.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, his first ring name was this. Well, actually, now he's just the Undertaker. But hey, there's a Kane.
So... After over 6 months of waiting, Kane debuts on pay-per-view as Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker are fighting in Hell in a Cell to determine...
Big old cage match.
Yeah, to determine the number one contender for the WWF Championship, like the big goal of wrestling.
Theoretically.
Yeah. And so he was a big man that was clad in all red and black with a mask covering his entire face, shows up. Commentary is screaming, "That's gotta be Kane!" over and over. Just as he walks to the ring, he rips the wall off of the cage, barehanded, and then he just slams The Undertaker to the match, helps the other guy win, bam.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Probably one of the best moments in wrestling ever, awesome. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's so cool. Just, yeah.
So
it's fun.
I'm going to be simplifying this story from here, but basically, Kane and The Undertaker feud for several months. It leads to a match at WrestleMania where The Undertaker beats Kane. And, from there, it's like, well, why is... this feels like one of those things that, Freddy Krueger, screws up at fighting Elm Street, and he's just forget it, I'm just going to go kill other people. It doesn't really make sense.
It's kind of the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 thing, which, good movie. I mean, I think it's pretty good, but you can kind of understand why some people had a problem with the pool scene because it made Freddy look small. And it's just kind of like, when you take away, like, Kane's lust for revenge, he kind of becomes directionless.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the only way they were able to, like, break him out of this storyline, because it lasted for, like, just a little past WrestleMania. Well, they were just like, we're just going to have somebody inexplicably beat him up backstage. And then they were like, well, now Kane wants to kill that guy instead. Like, revenge can wait.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm done with The Undertaker. No more killing The Undertaker. Now I have to wrestle, who was it? X-Pac?
It was Vader, actually.
Oh, okay, I'm in Vader. Okay. Now I'm going to go kill Vader.
So, wrestling is a soap opera. Some characters go from good to bad, and bad to good, vice versa.
Yeah.
So, to briefly touch up on the different stories with Kane, some famous, some infamous, and some of them just on completely different sides. Some of these he's a good guy, some of these he is a bad guy. So they had Kane make up with his brother that he was trying to kill after several years.
No.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, whatever.
And they just decided to destroy the other wrestlers they didn't like as a unit. And then they became the most on-again, off-again tag team in all of wrestling. And 90% of the time it's because Kane kept betraying him.
Yeah.
It's like, we probably should have, like, seen this coming. Like,
no, he's a good guy now. You can trust him. His name's Kane. He won't kill you with a rock.
I can't believe that I was betrayed by... Betrayus. Betrayus Dickus.
How could Betrayus Dickus do this?
So he did win the WWF Championship once because he threatened himself to set himself on fire if he didn't.
Very funny. Equally funny is that basically the reason this happened is because they decided to put him in a first blood match. And then realized halfway through, like, when that was already official, that there was no way they could make him bleed because he was in a full-body jumpsuit and mask. And they were like, oh, well, okay.
Well, Stone Cold, I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Pete Rose, the baseball guy, would show up to WrestleMania every year, and Kane would attack him violently.
Listen, if there's one guy I hate more than my brother who tried to kill me, it's Pete Rose for gambling on baseball.
I think he had guts for showing up after the first time. So the owners of the company and their cronies recruited Kane to their group called the Corporation. And then... so Kane was introduced actually as a completely mute wrestler, just didn't say anything. They would have the manager speak for him. Then they changed their mind. They were like, okay, no, he can speak, but then they gave him like kind of an electro layer.
Yeah, they gave him the talk box. It was super weird. There was an episode on the other day where like they would hold the mic and it would just be like, hello, I am Kane, And
I don't know if they ever like explained it.
That was just his voice, I guess.
No, like one day he just kind of switched over to a half mask, and then like not only did that show like more of his face, and so he's like, oh, so he's not as fucked up as we first thought, but also he just started talking normally.
He did that with Umaga, like right before they released him. He shows up, and this guy's been like completely mute outside of like guttural monster roars, grabs a microphone and says, hey man, I'm gonna go beat you up. Why do they do this?
No, that was the thing that was always like weird to me. And like, this is what I was talking about with how like, over the course of 9 years, you can get like a whole bunch of inconsistencies here. We're slowly peeling back basically everything that the character had at the start, but fans still liked him. They played it up. It was kind of like, he went from being Jason Voorhees to being kind of like a Spawn type guy.
Yeah,
that was how they kind of
tortured, still kind of horror inspired. Still did the fire thing.
And I don't know how the hell they kept liking him, because I'll tell you, we get into the 2000s, he was hit with basically nearly every terrible storyline.
Oh, God.
So the most famous wrestling magazine, I would say, is probably Wrestling Observer Newsletter. There's probably somebody who is going to argue otherwise, but it's at least like one of the most popular ones.
Yeah,
and they had yearly awards voted on by fans. Kane won the worst feud of the year 3 years in a row, as well as the most disgusting promotional tactic for 2 of those years.
Oh, man.
I don't want to talk about any of them.
Yeah,
it gets into very dark subject matter that
they're
is
bad.
not funny.
They're not. I mean, listen, it's one of those things where you hear about it and you're like, well, it can't be that bad. And then you watch it and it's actually worse.
If you are morbidly curious,
you can find it all.
You can probably find stuff online, find stuff on Wikipedia, probably find like YouTube videos of it from like Cultaholic.
Do what we all did. Go no, we're not doing that. Go to Wrestle Crap. We're going old school.
Okay. It's one of them's called Katie Vick. And then there was another one that was a Lita pregnancy storyline. I'll keep it like that. And I would proceed with caution.
Yes.
They touch up on subjects that really nobody would actually want in a wrestling storyline.
They're very, very tasteless.
Okay, so moving past that, it was also during this time they had actually had Kane remove his mask to reveal that he just thought he was disfigured.
Yeah, it was super weird because
it was super weird and dumb.
Yeah, he like removes his mask and it's like, well, actually, no, the disfigurement is, I guess, a bunch of soot on his face, maybe some black makeup, some weird looking curly hair.
But he didn't even have like the they shaved him off bald immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
And then basically the unmasked version of Kane is exactly what the main character in See No Evil looks like.
Yeah.
Again, we'll be getting to that. So Kane actually took time, some months off to film this movie. Mm-hmm. The Lita pregnancy storyline I mentioned. It was actually a way to write him off.
Oh, God.
By the time that they brought him back, they needed some time to finish the storyline with Lita, and then they got Kane into a tag team with another wrestler by the name of The Big Show. And as soon as a few months pass, See No Evil is about to come out. That's when they start cross-promoting See No Evil.
See No Evil was released in 2006. So Kane debuted in, God, what year? Like the 80s? Not the 80s, the 90s.
I think it was 1998.
Yeah, 1998. So, we've had like 10 years
just short of it,
of bad or interesting Kane character development by this point.
Right. So, they have one of the things with WWE films, they would cross-promote it on the show by having like storylines involving it. So, or just like guest appearances. Sometimes Larry the Cable Guy would show up because Larry the Cable Guy was going to be teaming with one of their wrestlers to be in a Christmas movie.
Thanks to Jingle All the Way 2.
That's the specific one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they had Kane tell the world that he was being tormented by the date May 19th.
May 19th!
And something really bad was going to happen on that day.
They ain't kidding.
Yeah. May 19th was the day that See No Evil came out, but also in storyline, it was also the night of his parents' murder. What this storyline ended in was not like just the release of this movie. They also had another masked Kane, another Kane who was masked and looked like Kane was when he debuted.
Old school Kane, yeah.
Yeah, they had him attack the unmasked current Kane to take his place.
Yeah.
So that is where we're at. That is everything that happened to the character of Kane up until this point. He had a lot of presence to him, and it's no doubt that he was popular, but also you can see why it would have made sense to make a slasher movie starring Kane, but also over the course of the past 9 years, he lost his entire character at this point. So he didn't really have any kind of mystique like the silent killer that he started off with. They were like, yeah, we can just do a movie starring this guy. Why not?
Yeah,
he would star in a Hollywood movie.
But it's okay. So that is the weird thing. Let me just derail this completely. Like, think about this. You have Kane, the wrestler, who entered wrestling to kill his brother, did not kill his brother, eventually unmasked, like, isn't actually horribly scarred. Like, I'm just imagining, like the logic of, again, this was advertised as starring Kane, and I'm just imagining the logic of, like, directing Kane on a set, as in, masked monster sets people on fire, Kane, on, like, a movie set. It's like, hey, Kane, what do you want for lunch? The busboys are gonna go get something for the crew, and he just, like, stares at you, or he says, like, raw meat, or, like, whatever. What do you think Kane, the character, wanted for his on-set meal? It's like, hey, yo, Kane, do you want this char grilled? Ah! He just drops his hands, like, all the fireworks
I'll char grill you.
Ah! Grabbing, like, these pork boom operators and just, like, tossing them through the fireworks or special effects. Like that's a thing. Like, he just, like, glares and goes.
No, we have an answer to this.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. First few years of wrestling, they actually got Kane to do some advertisements. One of them was for Chef Boyardee. So I think that Kane just, they brought him a can of Chef Boyardee. He raised his hands into the air, shoved him down, and then the can exploded.
The can explodes!
And went into his mouth.
Yeah, just a torrent of sauce.
It's like Popeye the Sailor Man with spaghetti.
Thanks for the meal. Okay. Well, that answers that question.
So that's the story of Kane. I'd say in fire terms, he started off with a lot of heat and then, slowly fizzled out. He still continued on for a few years after this. Some storylines good, some storylines really bad.
Yeah. So, but it's really funny because, you bring up May 19th, and it's very funny because if you're a wrestling fan, you know that date. So I guess it did its job. I guess. Every May 19th, we talk about it. We have our own little Kane-abration. We watch See No Evil on May 19th, so there you go. So, we get into the movie?
Yeah, I think we can just jump straight into See No Evil.
Good, because first thing I have written in my notes is that the WW Films logo is hilarious. I don't remember, because this was during the Scratch logo era, and I just remember it just, like, hitting, and it just looks so cheap, and it immediately follows up with credits for, like, font that is also very cheap.
Do you think that the other production company actually existed? It was called Ice Cream Productions. I've never heard of them.
Oh my god, probably not. So I want to say this before we, like, break things down and kind of highlight things in the movie. Maybe it's just because we've watched a gajillion horror movies at this point. It's a lot better than I remember it. Like, a lot better than I remember it. Not good. Do not confuse that for good. But definitely a lot better than I remember it.
I think you can do a lot worse when it comes to slasher movies. Mm-hmm. They had, like, a decent kind of premise with it, but also I just don't think... let's say you were to replace Kane with just an ordinary kind of monster. Like, this wasn't starring, like, a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't think that this would be as well remembered in the same way that, I think that Bill Goldberg probably made
Santa's Slay. Yeah. No, absolutely. But you got to look at these things, and that is kind of part of the fun of our podcast is that a lot of these things we're going to be watching some very interesting things just because of who worked on them. So it's worth pointing out. Yeah. Like I said, a lot better than I remembered just because the first kill was so good. Like, weirdly good. It was,
That was the first, that was the opening scene.
Yeah, the prelude.
Well, we start with, like, a flashback.
Yeah.
And we see, like, the police visit this one abandoned church. Go Tell It on the Mountain, or Children of the World, is just, like, playing. Mm-hmm. And they find a woman crying. The police go ahead and check on her. She's been disfigured, and then all of a sudden, bam, we get, like, a kill on the police officer by Jacob Goodnight.
Yes.
It's
Jacob.
pretty cool. Yeah.
It's pretty cool because, like she has no eyes, which is, something really gross to me. I hate eye trauma. But, this movie's not very good, so I can deal with it.
Also worth mentioning in this scene, so one of the policemen gets killed. The other one, their arm is hacked off as the music starts growing distorted.
Right. Bad credits font.
Yes, that's what I have written down. Bad font, I need to know.
Yeah. I forgot how bad the font was. And you're not even like a font person. I spent my high school days slacking off in class making forum signatures. I know all about bad fonts.
It was not one that like was immediately recognizable, like Bleeding Cowboys or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was definitely one, I can't remember what I remember it from.
I don't think I've seen it in anything, but it reminds me a lot of the font that was used in the Bravo 100 Scariest Movie Moments special.
Yeah, I see
that kind of like early thousands gunge, just gross aesthetic. Everything is so green, is so grim. Also, the music is by Tyler Bates, which, is very similar to English pro wrestler Tyler Bate, and that amused me.
And the movie is directed by Gregory Dark.
Gregory Dark. Really?
Yeah. The guy who directed it is named Gregory Dark. It's written by a man by the name of Dan Madigan. I'm trying to remember if like Gregory Dark is anybody.
Well, he's in the right profession.
Well, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page as I'm seeing this.
Oh, professional.
He is considered an adult filmmaker who transitioned into directing Hollywood movies, but also See No Evil is his second to last movie.
Huh.
Right after that was the direct-to-DVD independent black comedy Little Fish Strange Pond. Maybe we'll watch that one.
Yeah, maybe we need to do a Gregory Dark arc. A Gregory Dark, with a C. It's a good joke. So, yeah. We're going to just continue discussing all of this because, there's a lot, but like the editing is really funny.
It is, yeah. It has kind of that 2000s sort of, what's the term? Like Dutch angles? They have
a whole bunch of, the Dutch angles, the fisheye lens, like
a whole bunch of like weird filters and all that.
Yeah, it like flashes and cuts from like face to face.
It feels like very much of the time period.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Very, very much.
But, I've seen of the time period movies that do very well, like...
Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects is the first thing that came to mind. Rob Zombie.
Yeah, Rob Zombie. Yeah, exactly. This is discount. This is like, I don't know, Rob Plants versus Zombies.
It feels like they are doing this not because... not for any major artistic purpose, but just because it looks cool.
Yeah, like, well, Rob did this in House of a Thousand Corpses.
I feel like it made things feel a little grimier with Rob Zombie. Like this one, I feel like they could have done.
It's Slipknot music video editing.
They probably could have waited until they were in the actual main setting,
but they didn't. They did this immediately. Like, there's a scene where, so to kind of explain the plot of the movie. Two sets of convicts from two different prisons, men prison, women's prisons, because the binary is real in See No Evil land, come and they each get on one bus where they are told, I think there might be juvenile delinquents, or at least like...
No, it was just two, I think it was just two regular jails, but for some reason, the jails just sucked at their jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
None of the prisoners wore like jumpsuits or anything. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen any single jail that just like let their people have just normal clothing. Yeah, and there wasn't really like any reason for them to do it. They were like heading out to
it was a hotel, right?
Clean out a hotel.
Yeah.
It felt like very much a typical kind of job.
Yeah, it was like, hey, go to the hotel, clean this out, and we'll reduce your sentence. I guess that's to explain, one, why the cop is there, two, to explain why they can't just leave, because, if you leave, you're fleeing jail,
And the other thing that tells me that this was like two prisons that sucked at their job, and this is something that we'll be getting into here. Like 90% of the scenes have like the prisoners with an object that they shouldn't.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they just said like, "Oh, I managed to smuggle it in."
Yeah.
Like how many objects they have? Like they have phones, they have cigarettes. It's like
a lighter, like.
These are like very easy to escape prisons, was what I'm getting.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But it's so funny because like you load them up and everyone, like the thing that I remembered about this movie most of all was thinking that I hated the cast the first time around. And they immediately just hate each other. Like
they had a fight on the bus like
yeah.
First scene. All the while, the policemen are they don't really give a shit. It's the start of it.
Yeah, it's like, prison riot. Let's just chill,
They're in charge of remodeling this hotel.
The Blackwell Hotel.
The Blackwell Hotel. So that's where they're going here.
Okay, hang on. I just remembered. I think one of the characters was in prison for computer fraud, and one of them was in for shoplifting. Like these are their crimes, because the camera would like flash on each prisoner's face and then like it like show up like a subtitle in a Zelda game. Like
it reminded me of like a drug PSA.
Yeah, it was like, and it was like, this one's Michael, crime, prison fraud, or whatever. It would just say something. It was, but like it was just in like that label font, like freeze frame. It was pretty funny.
They really made the Blackwell Hotel to be just like completely one huge pile of shit. Like,
yeah, it is trashed.
They went out of their way to show a shot of cockroaches having sex.
Yeah, the cockroaches just
and it's so bad that they clean it up using black water.
Yeah, I was like, why didn't they just put normal water in the bucket? Like,
they have to make this like just the most disgusting piece of shit job ever.
Who made this movie? The Earthbound marketing team?
I feel like, they were about like one scene away from just like saying, okay, you guys have to clean this all by licking the hotel.
Yeah, I know. It was just like gross. Yeah. It was so gross, but not even the fun. Again, not Rob Zombie grime. We like Rob Zombie grime.
I could understand if they were trying to make a point about maybe, prisoners being mistreated. That's not really what they were doing, though.
Yeah. There was a line. Like after they get their assignment to start cleaning, and the guard is like, hey, you guys need to go do your thing and blah, 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 blah. And walks off. And one of the characters says, do you think he whacks off with that thing? And I have in my notes, what thing? What thing?
Yeah.
I think they mean his severed arm. Now that you mention that. But what thing? What thing does he whack off with?
That didn't even like cross my mind. Oh, another thing I wrote down here. So I did mention how like the jail cell kind of just allows people to have like sexy tank tops, fishnets, polo shirts. Like that was what they had. Also, one of them just has like extensions and hair dye. Like,
like the goth one.
Yeah, like so. How the hell are they getting that in there? Like, they have to like keep applying the hair dye, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they really have barbers in prison who are going to be able to do that.
I mean, I've never been in prison.
They must have gotten like the rich prison.
Yeah. Maybe that's why the hotel was so gross, to contrast the prison we never saw. Because we start in them loading up on the bus and having a fight and calling each other slurs. Like, that's how it starts.
So it's really quickly into the hotel storyline. They actually get the prisoners splitting off. So two of them are kind of a couple.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's like hinted at, I guess.
It's implied.
In like the
also...
early bus scene where I forget their names, because they like the only person in this entire cast's name I remember is Michael, and that's because I hated him even more this time. The worst character.
So one of the girls actually gets accused of just staring up the other girl, and that's kind of like the hint there.
Yeah.
But also,
It was 2006.
They're extremely close.
Yes.
There's also another two that are at the Blackwell Hotel, and they're looking for a safe.
Yes, okay. And this line was hilarious to me because they like talk about this safe. And then one guy says, "You're telling me after 35 years, no one's found this so-called safe." And it's like, that's a normal word. That's a normal word. You don't have to say so-called safe.
Oh, a safe.
A safe? What kind of thing is that? Do people put money in safes?
Well, what do you call it?
My
metal
cash box.
A cash box.
Like a normal person. Yeah. Anyway, those two characters, they split off to find some safe hiding in the Blackwell Hotel.
All the while, there's not really... so we know that there's going to be this masked killer from the opening. He's going to eventually get in on this story.
Yeah.
But at the start of it, it's just kind of like... I don't know. I've never seen the show Oz, but I'm assuming basically the show Oz, or like Orange is the New Black. Just like, prisoners kind of just like talking to each other.
We're just naming prison shows.
Another one of the things they managed to sneak in here, I have it written down. They managed to fucking drink beer.
Oh yeah, they managed to like split some beers. There's a scene where they're like offering there's like a hungry dog in the courtyard and trying to offer him some meat and lunch and stuff. And they're all splitting a beer. Like there's a lot going on.
They really do not monitor this prison group at all. They're like, honestly, like I'm surprised that they didn't all just like walk out as soon as they got dropped off. Like a field trip. So
I mean, the cop's around. He like catches them smoking, and instead of being mad, he asks them for a light.
We get to see they set up a few things here. One of them is there's a puppy.
Yeah.
Who comes by. They're like, "Oh, look at the cute puppy," and then one of the shithead prisoners just throws stuff at him.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote down this prison allows them to look at magazines and eat salad? ?
As you know, my favorite pastimes, looking at magazines and eating salad.
I think maybe I'm being a little petty with that.
Yeah, just a little.
At the same time, like, it really goes to show, like, it's a very weird, like, you could basically remove this entire prison subplot. Yeah. And it doesn't really feel like it adds anything.
Yeah, that's the weird part. I'm not sure, like...
Could have just been, like, maybe they didn't know regular people do community service.
Yeah, like, they could have just had, I don't know, a community service group or something. That's the thing, the entire prison thing just does not feel like a particularly organic part of the rest of the movie.
So, we start to get... hints of things going a little more sinister as we jump into a shower scene with one of the characters.
This was a surprise, I think we both only saw it on cable, so, surprise nudity.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not unpleasant.
And she also has religious tattoos, which is important. You gotta remember that later.
The tattoos, it's very important that she has the cross.
Okay, so, literally right as she's stepping out of the shower, the girl who takes it, and yes, they do take a shower in the actual hotel they're cleaning up. I should mention that.
I guess it has running water.
She gets confronted by her ex, her ex-pimp.
Yeah, Michael, who's the worst character.
Yeah.
Worst character.
Immediately afterwards, she gets she's actually one of the people who's in kind of the gay relationship, and she gets comforted by her gay bestie after that.
Guestie for short.
Yes, Guestie.
Happy Pride Month. I'm not putting this on the queer horror list.
I wrote down that about 30 minutes in, I wrote down this is not as bad of a prison movie as Suicide Squad. I still stand by that.
Okay, fair enough. Now, let's just get to the reason we're all here. Let's talk about Kane, because I think he's about to show up.
Yes, he is.
Yes. And I remember, let's see, his weapon. He has a big old hook. That's his thing. He grabs people with the big old hook and drags them away. And it's a good hook. And, it's a good weapon.
There's a great scene where this is how they first figure out that stuff is going down.
Yeah.
So I think it was actually the group of people who were looking for the safe.
Yeah.
They find a homeless guy there. He has blue skin and his eyes have been plucked out.
That's right. Yeah.
And then,
just like the girl in the beginning.
as that's going on, the computer nerd who has been called Richie Rich gets hooked and dragged into a wall, then dragged into an elevator.
Yeah, that's right. And I remember, like, being a little let down because, like, it's a cool kill. It is a cool kill because he gets hooked and he gets dragged. That's cool. And we're here to talk about Kane. Let's talk about Kane.
He's kind of just himself
in
this movie.
He's just Kane. Like,
the character.
The character Kane. Which makes it, again, even funnier. It's like, hey, Kane, man, just you know what they say, just be yourself. But, like, he looks good. Like, we're just gonna be honest, you know, I think, you know, he looks the part. He has the presence, obviously. I mean, it's not a stretch for Kane to be playing Kane.
You could accuse them of typecasting, but also, I think it kind of works in some cases. Like, I'll be honest. Have you ever watched, it's very rare that you'll watch a Dwayne Johnson movie where he's not playing The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm sure there's one or two out there that, you know, he's done. I mean, I guess there was The Game Plan or whatever, but, like, there's something about The Rock, you know. It's you know, that's why you're watching. So he looks good, except he has a terrible jumpsuit on, like that brown like shirt thing he has.
I guess they can't have him be, like, shirtless. Well, they could, but they didn't really try hard on the look for it.
It's a really uninspired look for Jacob Goodnight. Like, the face is there, the mannerisms are there. He has a lot of, like, physicality, you know, being a pro wrestler. That makes sense. You know, he does the assignment, you know?
So the second movie does something extremely simple, but, you know, makes it work a lot more. They give him one of those, I don't know what kind of
mask. Like a surgical mask? Well,
yeah, like a surgical mask.
But like when you break your orbital bone, those clear, like,
and then
broken
they kind of
nose
give him
masks.
Like a butcher's apron.
Yeah,
and then that's all they really needed to do.
Yeah, way better look that way. This one, though, bland. Very bland. Doesn't really pay, you know, there's the physicality that he's really giving to the role. And, you know, far be it for me to be like, you know, oh, Kane, the character's acting chops. But, you know, again, he's the reason we are watching this movie.
I guess you could argue that Jason Voorhees kind of has sort of the dirty clothes look, but also it's a lot more tattered and cool looking.
Yeah. This is just like, you know, Goodwill shirt. My man.
I wouldn't be surprised. They literally, like, picked this up directly from, like, a Goodwill or something.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's also, it's really funny because, like, while he's killing Richie, the camera's going absolutely crazy. Like, there are all these flashes in between scenes, but they don't really make any sense. Again, it's very much like they saw how Saw was being edited or a Rob Zombie movie was being edited.
That's exactly it, isn't it?
And it just went like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yeah. Like, the thing is, in Saw, things have a reason to be kind of grimy and dirty. You are being captured and held.
You're waking up in a bathroom.
You're waking up in the Yowie bathroom. And, like, you know, things are crazy, you know, things are nasty. And that's kind of the fun of Saw, is that, you know, it's sort of a very green and grimy and dark place. And this, it's just like, it's far be it from me to say that Saw is some kind of artistic achievement, because I think it's okay. I love James Wan as a director. I just think, you know, Saw's fine. You know, the Yowie bathroom, all that. But, like, it's very funny when you look at See No Evil and see, like, oh, so this is what you will get if Saw was completely artless.
Well, this is it. It's interesting. Like, as you were saying that, the thought was coming to mind that, you know, this is like an 80s slasher movie, but it's disguising itself as like Saw.
And that's maybe that's why I am upon this, like, most recent rewatch, kind of a lot more fond of it than I was the first time, because, you know, back then I didn't really have much of an interest in horror because I was raised to, growing up, so much was just Saw, Whereas this, it's like, oh no, this is kind of a fun slasher. It's not a very good movie, but it's a fun slasher.
So, it's worth mentioning, after the Richie Rich kill, the Richie Rich not yet kill, actually.
Oh, okay.
We have like an immediate kill right afterwards. Because the lady guard, there is guards for the prisoners. They don't really...
They just kind of came up, I guess.
They don't really do much, I'll be honest.
Yep.
Except for the one who has the history with him. He's the armless one from the opening.
Yep. Yeah.
But they have a lady guard as well, who's from the women's prison. She goes to the next floor, and then she just gets choked to death and her eyes plucked out while she's actually in the elevator doors.
Oh, yeah. And there's one thing that's really cool is whenever Jacob Goodnight's about to show up, like flies, like you hear kind of the fly buzzing. It's nasty, but it works. It's kind of like, the whistle from Maniac Cop or, the Jason Voorhees noise that everyone knows,
The non-diegetic music from Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of cool. But, that's the one thing that, really stuck about this movie is that I'll say this, it's fast-paced. Like, it knows you're here for some kills, and it gives you some kills. So, I respect that. And the kills are, for the most part, and we'll talk about this, for the most part, pretty brutal. It's weird. There's flashes of competence here. Because I think most people would kind of watch this movie and just be kind of... I think it's easy to dunk on the movie because of the wrestling connection.
I think even, I'll be honest... It's also pretty much the only thing it has going for it.
Yeah.
But that's not to say it's like a bad movie, necessarily.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie, but I don't think that it is like worst of all time kind of slasher movies. Hell, again, as I mentioned here, this is one of the better WWE films.
Oh, yeah, they've made worse.
Probably not even their worst horror film, if I'm being honest.
Exactly. But this is the one that being the first that gets the reputation. So, but yeah, I liked the pace of the movie. I liked, again, really, it's just Kane as Kane. And there are moments which are actually pretty good where he gets to do a little bit of character acting. It's not half bad. It's again, if you've been watching Kane, it's no different from what he normally does, but it works.
On a technical level, too, I just want to bring up that we mentioned that there is a lot of weird filters and like effects in it because it's trying to do like the Saw thing. It gets a little ambitious sometimes. I do remember they actually do the Evil Dead camera effect where it takes you through like the whole hallway.
Like all of this is done pretty artlessly, but at least they're trying, I guess.
At the very least, it feels like something that would come out in theaters, which this did.
Yeah, exactly. And a big thing is there is decent setup and payoff for most everything that happens in this movie. A decent sense of pacing, a decent sense of like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's Child's Play or any Don Mancini's films, but they at least understand how to get from point A to point B for the most part. It's really just the characters, the dialogue, the kind of ridiculous directing, big time bring it down. Because like you mentioned the religious tattoos. They don't just say that she has like a cross on her back. They don't just say, she has, was marked with the cross of Christ or whatever. No, they say, Kira has religious tattoos. These prisoners are like, yes, her religious tattoos.
That's actually the next major plot point too, because after all this, because Kane was the one peeping on Kira as she was taking her shower. Because of that, he ends up hooking Kira.
Yeah.
And that's when the one policeman bodyguard catches up with some of the other prisoners and starts talking about the story about how he knows who is killing them. And also, he points out that, like, Kira may have gotten killed for religious tattoos.
For the religious tattoos. And
then, like, immediately afterwards,
like,
they have the policeman get hooked and super die.
Yeah, he was super. It was awesome, actually.
So it reminds me a little bit of Stage Fright Aquarius.
Okay.
There's a really cool kill in that where somebody is halfway down a shaft, a door you can't really see,
like the stage door one.
Yeah, like halfway down a stage door. They go to try pulling them up, and they have been completely decapitated.
Oh yes,
the bottom. Basically, there's one part where
the
policeman gets hooked up. It's very much like a SpongeBob scene. The hooks me bucko.
The hooks me bucko.
But they managed to get him down. But by that point, his eyes are just fucking gone.
Yes,
he is like dead. It's great.
He is super killed, and it's pretty great.
So Jacob Goodnight is basically the unknown in this movie. He lives in the walls.
Yeah, he lives in the walls, and he has an inexplicable backstory about his mother. I guess, hey, Jason Voorhees' mother, Kane's mother, sure, why not? And the backstory about the religious trauma of how, he was, kept in a cage for jerking off, I think.
Yeah, well,
and it's
also,
the power of Christ compels you.
It is fascinating. So I don't know the exact source on this, but there's a very, very famous rumor that they were going to have a shot with a younger version of Kane's character, Jacob Goodnight.
Was it the younger version, or was this...
Yeah, I think it's the younger version.
Okay.
But they have a shot of his crotch.
Yes.
While he's a kid, and
yeah,
apparently
he is masturbating in the movie, in the flashback.
Okay.
But
it is said that the executive producer, who was the leader of WWE, wanted
you are dancing around his name.
Wanted Jacob Goodnight to have
Vince McMahon, who is currently under investigation for various assaults and trafficking.
They wanted him to have a giant penis.
Yeah. What was it? His 20-inch long dick?
Like an impossibly long dick.
2 foot. Kane's 2 foot dick.
Kane's 2.5 foot penis. It just keeps growing.
Yeah. It's that was the whole thing. I don't know, what version of Kane. I don't know if it was meant to be, child Jacob Goodnight or whatever. But man, Kane was supposed to hang 2 foot dong in this movie, and he does not. He does not hang dong. Kane does not, I repeat, does not hang dong in See No Evil. But you know what he does do?
What?
He hooks people.
Yeah.
And you know what else he's got? He's got the Who's Fucking Bell.
Oh, God, I forgot about
the Who's Fucking Bell.
Okay.
So Kane lives in the walls.
Yes, and he has specific traps set up around the hotel, kind of like pieces of yarn or whatever that are just attached to bells.
Yeah.
So while he's living in the walls, he'll know where people are because they'll trigger this. And he's like, oh, I better go hook them.
Yeah. So 2 of the characters are having sex in one of the beds. I don't even think they actually have sex. They're just heavily making out. And you get this shot of the bed string. And this is what I mean by they do a decent job at doing some suspenseful scenes and things. So it's it follows the string through the wall to the bell, in the walls in the basement, and it's ringing the basement, and it's marked, oh, if this bell rings, it's for this hotel room. So that's how Kane knows how to go up through the walls and start hooking people through one of his secret Kane doors.
I think it was very bold of these prisoners. I get there's not many good opportunities, but these prisoners are just oh, let's have sex on the job of this.
Yeah, let's have sex at the creepy hotel.
The brunette girl and the James Franco looking guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that joke's on them. They triggered the Who's Fucking Bell. They really want to be Candyman. Like
Yeah,
with all the flies and the bees and or the flies and the hook. They really wanted to be Candyman.
They really wanted to be Candyman, except they wanted him to wrap the hook around his 12-foot, his 12-inch penis and kill people with it. So,
he really is the best part of this movie.
Yeah, he was. There's something that I noticed, by the way, at about middle of the way through this. They had Kira get like forced to shower again, I think.
Oh yeah,
that was like something Jacob Goodnight was doing, but
that's right. Like
that's how I recognized that. Like these tattoos that she gets, the religious tattoos. They're kind
religious tattoos.
Yeah, they're kind of fresh.
Yeah, they're like super fresh. They look like henna tattoos or something. You know,
it's not that like. I think they might have tattoos in prison, but it is.
Oh, they very much have tattoos in prison.
At the same time, I don't know how I don't know how fucking cool this prison is at this point.
Yeah, it's like
honestly, I think I would. You probably have like a whole food court here.
Yeah, I mean, I would not say, hey, let's go to this prison, because if we do, we'll get hooked.
Yeah,
I don't want to get hooked. But on that note, I want to talk and kind of shine a light on something this movie does. Again, I kind of mentioned that it has weirdly competent kind of setup and payoff things.
Are you going to be talking about
the escape scene?
Oh, I thought we were still talking. I want to actually mention one thing about the sex scene.
Okay, sure.
The sex
Let's
scene
talk about sex, baby.
So, they have a mirror.
Yes.
Like right after the sex scene, one of them recognizes like, oh, hold on, this is weird. And then the other one asks like, what's weird about it? And then the other one just says like, oh, it's a two-way mirror. And then just like immediately afterwards, like probably one of the cooler moments here, Jacob Goodnight bursts through the fucking mirror to kill him.
Just fucking Angel of Music, Phantom of the Opera's his shit. It's awesome. And just hooks the hell out of him.
So,
listen, I'll give this movie credit for one thing. The Who's Fucking Bell. If just because, it shows that the reason... Like, obviously, they made Kane kill the people having sex because that's what you do in a slasher. But at the very least, they were like, well, here's the reason, which, you don't need a reason to do this. You do this because slashers kill people. That's the fun part. You are watching a slasher movie. But at the very least, they're like, well, actually, his mother told him that sex bad. So he kills because sex bad. Now, if you want to watch a good movie about people killing because sex bad, watch Sleepaway Camp 2. But we'll get to that one day.
Is this escape scene, does this involve the cell phone kill, or is this...
Oh, no. It's a cell phone kill before. I was thinking the rappelling, when she's trying to use the rope to get out the window.
Okay, this is actually attached to that.
Okay, yeah. So these are like the most brutal kills in the movie. Genuinely very good.
There's a scene where the girl who... I think she was the girl who was having sex. It was at least one of them they were trying to escape through the window.
Yeah.
She was being led down by one of the prisoners. But, halfway down, she can't see where the prisoner is.
Yeah. Like it looks up to the mirror and you can't see who's holding the rope. So,
The window.
Yeah.
Looks up to the window and you can't see the rope. But, she gets pulled up only enough to see that it's Kane.
Yes. Our buddy Jacob Goodnight.
Yeah. I would just say at that point, like, untie yourself.
Yeah. She's like screaming. It's like, let me down. You know what's going to happen. Yeah. It's the old joke.
She's like, okay, he'll let you down. He drops her. She falls through fucking glass, like a glass ceiling.
It's like a greenhouse or something.
Yeah, like a greenhouse kind of ceiling.
Like roof, yeah.
And then she is just covered in glass. The dog from earlier shows up. Starts to lick the brunette's blood. And then suddenly, like 15 other dogs come by for a fatality.
Yeah, it's like a stage fatality. And let me tell you, this is not the first Mortal Kombat joke we'll make this evening. It's like a whole stage fatality of just like all these dogs tearing into shreds. So here's the thing. Brutal kill. Well set up. Great tension throughout the entire thing. However, as a writer, I must ask, to me, this is how you would kill Michael, the guy who beat up the first dog. For maximum irony, he's the one who shooed away the first dog. So this is how you should kill Michael. Have him get savaged by the dogs. It's called irony.
They really just like they only set up the fact there was a dog so they could have the dog kill.
Yeah.
I guess they don't really have screenwriting 101 here.
Yeah, I don't think they don't care about their character. They don't care about their characters.
I simply do not find the action in See No Evil 2 to be up to the high standards of Hollywood.
Yeah, I simply do not find See No Evil 1 to be challenging enough. You know, perhaps, this one's not going in the Criterion Collection.
They give Jacob Goodnight kind of his own version of the Jason vision or the Michael vision too.
Oh God, that's right. The first person stuff. Yeah. They're aping everything they can. This is a very derivative film.
Very shortly after the dog stage fatality, one of the girls goes to hide in the closet.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
straight out of Deadly Premonition.
She has a cell phone that she smuggled in.
Yeah, of course she smuggled it.
This is probably one of the best setup kills. Like, immediately following that one, this is actually a decently setup kill. Maybe a little cliche, but good.
Oh, so, it's gross, though.
She hides inside of the cabinet. Then all of a sudden, her cell phone fucking goes off right as Jacob Goodnight is leaving, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, Jacob Goodnight opens up the door, sees her, and has the blonde girl eat her fucking cell phone and choke on it. Absolutely, gross ass scene, but a pretty good kill. I can't lie.
Oh yeah, no, it's great, and it's funny because it's shortly followed by one of the worst kill in the movie, which is
probably one of the most memorable kills too. Like the cell phone kill, not
the cell phone one and the dog repelling. And I mean, in general, I love, again, this is why they cast him. He's a pro wrestler. He does physicality. That's what he does. There's a scene where, speaking of the two-way mirror, where he just chucks a guy into a mirror and it's just really brutal. And I like that. It kind of reminds me of, not to, again, you look at, people who really like Kane Hodder's Jason, right? Because he's just pissed off. He kind of has that real, even if you don't like Jason Takes Manhattan, most people will praise Kane Hodder's performance as Jason because he's just he has presence.
By the way, Kane Hodder spelled the exact same way.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It is. That's right. Kane Hodder, Kane. Yeah.
I think it's a coincidence, but it is fun.
Yeah, it is. That is pretty fun. So good. Yeah. But, next we have, so one half of the safe cracking duo.
Was this the one where Kane burst through a wall like a Kool-Aid man?
Yes, I think so. Ty goes into the movie, goes into the room. He's one of the guys looking for the safe, and he finds the safe. And I hated this death. I hated it from the moment I saw it, because the first time I saw this movie, Ty was the only character that I liked in any way. Because he's kind of the only, he's not the only likable character, but again, they don't make this movie for characters. That's not why they made this movie, to give you a cast of deep characters that you care for. But they kind of swung a little too far in the other direction. But Ty was good. But they kill him, right? Kane bursts through the wall like the Kool-Aid man and traps him behind, I think, the safe itself, I think. It might be on wheels. Or some kind of desk. I can never remember. And
I don't know.
Yeah, and he just shoves it against the wall and crushes in between the wall. But it's not very impactful.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
It doesn't really do no crunch, no money shot.
Ty, I think had was he? I think he was the one that had a taser. Like he somehow managed to.
Yeah, he somehow. I think he
it.
took the taser from the guard that got hooked.
That's right.
In the elevator shaft.
That was the deal.
So again, they at least have things that are set up and then paid off, which for a movie like this will take.
So there's one thing that I should have probably brought up, but this is kind of related to sort of the plot twist with this movie. But to be fair, it's a character who shows up once. Which, it's very much like a Jason's mother situation. Like, oh, we're here now. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's quite bad.
We know at the very least Jacob Goodnight was told all this stuff by his mother.
Yeah.
We don't think we see the mother throughout the movie. There is
the flashbacks, power of Christ compels you, holy water, holy water.
There is one scene, right when they get to the hotel, who's kind of the director leading this refurbishment of the Blackwell.
Yeah. Just this nice old lady.
She doesn't really have much presence, and she's not really like a thing until right here, right after we killed off Ty.
Yeah.
They go ahead and have this lady get revealed, and surprise, surprise, she is Jacob's mother.
Yeah, it was like I think Ty gets killed, and I think, oh man, I think at this point that the girl who was in the shower, Kira, she's like strung up. I don't think he's taken her eyes, but she's strung up and is like, he's thinking of killing her. And like, there's that scene where the mother reveals herself, and it's like, oh, thank God you're here. And then she's like, actually kill the bitch, that kind of thing,
It's kind of, so there's one kind of convoluted part with this, which is, the mother reveals that this whole plot was to murder the cop from the opening with the, one arm.
Yeah.
Because, they let him get away.
But they did.
Yeah, and the prisoners were just basically bonuses to this.
Yeah. I guess because, cleanse the world of sinners and filth. It's kind of, it's a religious
That's the see no evil.
The titular see no evil.
Basically, religion is kind of the enemy here.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like they...
No, it's not. It's Jacob Goodnight, and he has a hook. That's stupid. He has a hook.
They don't really go hard on it.
Yeah, it's like,
Also, the mother is, if she is like meant to represent sort of this religious kind of stereotype, she's kind of like a really bad example of it. She doesn't mind killing or anything. Like, I get that's kind of the point.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It's because it's like they wanted to do the Friday the 13th twist and added some backstory to make something of sense.
Okay, so you mentioned that Ty gets killed.
Yeah.
By the safe and all
safe
that
push. Yeah.
We're in the same room where this happened. While the right after this reveal with the mother, she goes to grab she goes to a table that's right near her and grabs a fucking handgun.
Yeah, she just grabs a gun.
It has not been set up. They don't explain it, but also you think they would have actually, seen this fucking gun.
Yeah, it's like the gun was right there.
Nobody's picked this up and shot Jacob yet.
I think at this point she's does she give Jacob the gun and he's like, hey, kill the girl?
Yeah, she says judge her.
Yeah, judge her, yeah. And I'll say this is the next part where, they get Kane doing some emoting and he gets to act conflicted and he gets to rock back and forth and do his sad Kane face, which, his it was you, Kane face, that he did, when accused of attacking The Undertaker again by Rey Mysterio. Absolutely hilarious. Look up the Kane reveal, it was you, Kane, and you get the gist of he's doing that exact same face. And he's good at it. It's what the scene calls for. It works, but it is very funny.
And this is the part where Jacob just kills his mother by shoving her right onto a fucking spike.
Yeah, he just picks her up, and I think, does he shove her or throw her?
He pushes.
Yeah, he pushes her, and she just goes, in slow motion. You get the camera shot of her, reaching out, and it goes to and it like zooms into the spike as she just goes whammo, fucking eyeball first onto the spike. Like, how powerful was that shove? Oh, it's brutal. Like,
I almost feel like they should have saved this for like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's brutal.
For a great kill.
Yeah, it's just funny that it just like he just shoves her so hard that she like flies through the air and lands on a nail eyeball first.
So immediately after this, they go to try and shoot Jacob Goodnight, but there's no bullets in the gun.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'll also end this scene, they reveal that fucking Jacob Goodnight has fucking maggots.
Oh yeah, he just has maggots in his head, I guess. He has a hole in his head that's full of maggots, which explains the flies. Because I guess, like, his brain is...
I never made that connection.
Yeah, I guess the brain is, like, he has maggots in his brain and they become flies, and that's why he's always surrounded by flies.
Why did they have to make every single aspect of the story so damn gross? I guess, because it's a horror movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't feel like they... unfortunately, I just think that Vince McMahon is probably responsible for most of the stupid ideas in this.
Yeah, probably. So, I just want to say this. At this point... the character Michael, who, by the way, is the former pimp of who we now know is kind of the final girl type, he sucks. He's awful.
He gets, like, one decent scene here where he saves the gay people, but also, like, he doesn't
redeem himself. He doesn't earn a damn thing. He sucks the entire way through, has awful dialogue, says absolute horseshit the entire... I hate this guy. He is the reason this movie is so bad. He's not the only reason, but he's definitely a large portion of something that just truly sucks about this film. He sucks, and he lives. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, man. So right after this... we have Jacob sent out window.
Yes. He's fighting it, claws back up, uses the hook.
Yeah.
And
his hand gets impaled. And then pipe. I wrote down pipe on eye followed by bursting through glass.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what happens is, okay, I think it was Kira, I believe, grabs like a pipe that it's a spiked end and shoves it into his eye, which is how he like manages to like break away from the window, goes through that same glass roof greenhouse thing, right?
Also, it has an X-ray view of the heart.
Yes.
Like
yes. Okay. Yeah. No, the whole thing is shot exactly. You want to talk about Mortal Kombat stage fatalities? It is the funniest thing. He like has this huge fall, fucking Killer Instinct style, where it's just like, flailing, view from above, blah, 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 goes down, crashes into the glass. As soon as he hits the ground, straight up, Mortal Kombat 9, it zooms into him, and you see his, like, rib cage and organs and heart just bursting and exploding in this nasty, like CG inside Kane's body of this man just getting completely killed. And I'll say this, it is goofy as hell. But as someone who does very much enjoy Mortal Kombat 9 X-ray moves or, fun stage fatalities and fighting games, I was amused. Yeah. I enjoyed myself. It was a good kill.
And that was the final kill. I have to admit, looking back at it and also talking about it here, solid kills, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably
there's some boring ones, don't get me wrong. But,
yeah.
I think that in a slasher movie, like half of the reason you'll want to watch it is because you'll want to see like how kind of crazy the kills can be.
Yeah.
At least that's the reason why you watch some movies like Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
But like they did a pretty decent job at it for like a 2000s slasher, nothing slasher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think basically just the gays and then Michael survive. I'm glad they saved the entire couple, by the way.
You keep calling them the gays, and I know they set that up, but I'm not adding it to the queer horror list.
Okay. And there's one final scene before we hit the credits. One final shot, which is as they're leaving, we get a sign that says, "Thank you for the Blackwell Hotel. Please come again." But that's not the final scene in the movie.
Yeah, because the credits hit, and that's when we get the "See No Evil" rap. So
before we get the rap. Before we get the rap, they have Jacob Goodnight credited as Kane and like a few small credits, and then they have the final scene. Kane's lifeless body is there. You're expecting him to get up, but then one of the dogs from earlier walks up and takes a piss in his eye socket.
Yeah, he just pisses on him in his eye socket. Thanks, man.
They couldn't have ended it on the thanks for visiting the Blackwell Hotel.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, well, fuck you for watching the movie, I guess. But at least they then gave us the "See No Evil" rap. It's not as good as the Maniac Cop rap. It's not the New York Ninja rap because it was not a rap made for the movie. If it was a rap made for the movie, I would have appreciated it. But they at least played the credits over a rap song, which is a horror tradition I can respect.
Oh, can we commission Mega Ran or somebody?
Yeah.
A "See No Evil" rap.
Please,
I kind of want to see it.
Mega Ran, you used to follow me on Twitter several names ago. Trust me, buddy. If I used to go hang out at Yellow Springs, Superfly Comics and see your concerts back when 20 people would go there. Come on, man, do me a solid. I know you like wrestling. Make the "See No Evil" rap. We need this.
So, "See No Evil." Insanely okay film.
Yeah, it's very, very okay. But,
it's worth mentioning, by the way, I'm looking at Wikipedia for this directly right now. The working title of this film was The I Scream Man. EYE Scream Man. Then changed to The Goodnight Man, then Goodnight, and then "See No Evil." So this is a very... this is kind of a hokey slasher, I think, if I could sum things up.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I really don't. But also, you know what you're getting with this. You know exactly why you'd be watching this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of why we're looking at this, is that, we're looking at this movie. Really, there are a dime a dozen bad slashers made all the time by all kinds of people. You go to Tubi right now, you can find 1,000 bad slashers featuring Giggles the Clown or whatever the hell. But I do think it's interesting to look at this from the perspective of this movie only really got made and finished because of the WWE Vanity Project and because of Kane. And so that's a really unique thing, where this is one of those cases where, normally on this podcast, I think we're going to usually go from film to film and, concept to concept, actor to actor, whatever, and connect this actor took this film. But this is the first time we're kind of, obviously it's the first episode, but it's one of the first times and probably only times we're going to be able to go from, this is a character that transitioned from a completely different medium into another movie, but also isn't playing the same character. It's a weird thing.
He's not playing the same character.
But he's playing the same character.
He's basically, do you think Kane complains about being typecast? Why am I being a wrestler?
I could be here doing Lawrence of Arabia.
Man, why don't they ever hire me for any romances? It's always this horror crap.
If Danny DeVito can be cast in War of the Roses, then I could have been cast. We need Kane in You've Got Mail.
We need Kane and Yumi and Dupree and nothing else.
Well, that was our one-off about Kane and about See No Evil. Overall, I'm in agreement. It's an aggressively okay movie that shouldn't have a fond place in our hearts, but because of May 19th, it always will. And one day, perhaps we will talk about See No Evil 2 in a different context, because I feel like we've said enough about Kane, because he's still just Kane in the next one. Spoiler alert, he's still just Kane, but also inexplicably the movie was released 2013? So that's how many years after that?
So, Oculus is obviously...
7 years or something? I don't know, I'm bad at math.
Would we argue that Oculus is the best movie WWE films you have ever done?
Yes. I mean,
okay.
It's got to be Oculus.
What's your favorite?
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, it probably is... I mean, Oculus is the best one.
Oculus is the best one. The Chaperone is the funniest one. But also, I have fondness for Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery.
Oh, okay. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery. Forgot that counted. That's the one. Oh my God, Kane's in that one. We could totally...
Son of a bitch!
Okay, we're wrapping up. But yes, this has been the pilot episode of Roll Credits. Keep an eye on the future where we are going to be going through arcs, where we're going to pick someone out, and we will, we'll keep an eye on it. Mandy, you have something to say?
3, 2, 1, roll credits.
May 9th.
Roll Credits is produced by Armbar Studios and is part of the Aaron and Mandy Network. The intro and outro music is provided by Danya Vodovos, available on Bandcamp. For more information on all of our projects, visit armbarstudios.com.